What about it? In today's video, we're going to be renovating this small lawn. The lawn that we're working on today, whenever it was installed a few years ago, they used fescue and bent, and the thatch on it was just unbelievable. So the customer didn't like that at all. So over the last few years, we've been overseeding dwarf rye and fescue into it to just really improve that situation, and it's really turned that lawn around. Whenever we look at the lawn, we can see some white patches. This is actually from some scoring whenever there was red thread a couple of weeks ago. But all in all, the lawn looks quite well, but we're going to be fixing this today.
First up is aeration. We do this to get air down into the roots, and if it's compacted soil, to help open that up.
So we've got the lawn now aerated. One of the things I like about the aerator that we use, the plugger, whenever we go slower, you can pull out more plugs per square metre, which is really good. Now, I'm going to have a look at some of the cores that have come out of the lawn. Now, this is especially helpful for any of the beginners. If you're a beginner and this is the first time on your channel, thank you very much. Don't forget to smash the like button if you find this helpful. So we're going to have a look at a couple of the cores out of this lawn. So I mentioned before that this lawn used to have a big thatch problem. Now, thatch is good because it helps your lawn. Your lawn needs some thatch, but whenever you get a lot of it, then it becomes an issue. But if we'll have a look at this core here, so on the top we've got a wee tuft of grass, and then we've only a small amount of thatch there, and then when I have a look, you can see the roots coming through. Here's another little core. We've got a bit of grass, we've got a small layer of thatch, and then we've got our roots. Why roots are important? Deep roots especially are important for your lawn, because if you think back to your school days, it's where the grass plant stores a lot of its energy. So if you don't have deep roots, you have to use more fertiliser to get a better lawn. Whereas if you follow what we call cultural practices within lawn care, and that's scarifying, aerating and promoting good healthy soil, well then your lawn's going to do better in the likes of droughts or even wet weather, and plus it's going to be able to store more energy to be able to look after itself.
Next up is scarifying, to break up that thatch barrier and create a nice seed bed.
To have a look at some of the material that we've pulled out of the lawn, this is the thatch here. So thatch is just a naturally forming organic layer. Some grasses, like the finer grasses, generate more of this stuff. The dwarf rye that we're putting in today, you don't get as much thatch from it, and that's why you've seen in those cores there wasn't just as much thatch. But just to have a closer look at it, is dead roots, stems, grass. It's just a general sort of matting. And it's all about maintaining a healthy thatch layer. So now we're going to get this cleared up, and then we're going to get some seed on. Happy days, clear up now, now over. Time to we'll go and see what Jason's favourite rake is.
This is my favourite rake. With the design of it, you can keep your back nice and straight whilst you're raking, so it takes any pressure off your lower back.
Next task, time to put the grass seed in. The easiest way for us to put this on is just on the spinner. Gets it nice and even the whole way across the lawn. So now our next task, we'll get the seed out. We're going to cover it with a thin layer of soil. Now you don't, strictly speaking, have to use top dressing whenever you're overseeding, however it works a lot better. But if you don't, then you want to run a drag mat over it to make sure that you get good seed to soil contact. Or alternatively, you could just use a heavy roller like we used on the lawnmower to cut the lawn. Time to get the soil on the lawn. So adding a thin layer of soil on top of the seed helps protect it from birds, and it creates a blanket. So if you think you have the soil coming up and then you put the seed over the top and then you put the soil on, it just creates a nice little air pocket and it keeps the soil warm, and it also feeds the soil and helps the microorganisms in the soil just create more life. So if you think, I always say, underneath your lawn it's like a jungle, you can't see it. A spoonful of soil has up to 1 billion life forms in it. So anything we can do to try and encourage it. After we do this here, we're going to put on some seaweed, and that's going to help those microorganisms and really help turbocharge the grass seed. So our soil seems a little bit damper than usual. And we're finding that it just doesn't go as far across the lawn whenever it's nice and dry. It goes on really easily. But we're just having to use a bit more than we usually do. But don't worry, we'll let you know at the end how many bags of soil we use in this lawn. So now we have this seeded. The most important thing is to go and have a cup of tea and let it dry. Top dressing is always really, it's a lot easier to work into the surface if the surface is dry afterwards. We use the mat to get good seed to soil contact. You could also use the back of one of those rakes we showed you. With a mat, it's really quick and easy. So the mat does a couple of things. As you see, it pulls the soil in. If there's any high points or low points, it pulls the soil down into the low points and helps level out if there's any bumpiness in the lawn. I've done a video before on these mats and they're quite expensive to buy, but if you want to get one, we'll have one that we've made and it costs under £40. Fantastic job. I'll leave the links to that down in the video description. So the next step for our lawn is we're going to put on some seaweed and then the fertiliser. So at the minute, Jason's on the seaweed and the iron. That's going to help get the grass off to a really good start. I'm going to answer a question that came up recently on one of my other videos about pre-seeder fertiliser. A lot of people got a little bit confused about it. It says, oh, pre-seeder fertiliser, why is it not going down before the seed? It's more about getting it down so as there's fertiliser in the ground for whenever the seeds germinate, there's that fertiliser there. It's not about putting it down before the seed. So don't get too hung up on that. Now the reason you want to do it after you do the seeding, because if you ran the drag mat over the lawn after you put the fertiliser down, and there's a good chance you're going to damage those little prills that are in the lawn.
If you want to watch a beginner's guide on how to renovate your lawn, click over here.